We just had one of the most wild Steam launches that I have ever seen, but not because the game was bad, quite the contrary, it had everything going well for it, and still didn't. So what went wrong? Well, before I can dive into that, we gotta know what the game was first, and that was CUFFBUST. It's from 2-Star Games, the same YouTuber that created Choo Choo Charles, and while that game was a viral success, CUFFBUST, on the other hand, went down in flames almost immediately. If you haven't heard of it, CUFFBUST is a co-op friend slop game where you and up to 9 other players try to escape from an Alcatraz-style prison and flee the island together. And to say the hype going into this game was high would have been an understatement. Jeff Keighley himself reached out to feature it in Summer Game Fest 2024, and streamers like Moist Critical and Ludwig were hyped to play it.
This is a 1000% streamer game.
So for an indie game, it had everything going for it and was basically a surefire win. But fast forward to release week just a few days ago, and it was everything but that. As of this recording, it's currently sitting at 295 Steam reviews with only a 57% positive review. And based on that, it likely sold somewhere in the 8,000 to 17,000 copy range, which, I mean, sounds great. I would love to have that many copies sold. But when you compare it to the amount of hype that it had going into it, as well as the fact that Choo Choo Charles has likely sold somewhere in the ballpark of 500,000 copies, let's not kid ourselves here. It undersold. And from the Steam reviews and Reddit posts that I've read, it can be summed up into one word: greed. The game launched at $19.99 without a discount and shipped with only one map. Each gameplay session takes about 10 minutes to play through, and there's no randomization. So once you memorized all of the ways to get off the island, it never changes beyond that. So basically, $20 gets you 10 minutes of gameplay and whatever shenanigans and fun you and your friends can make up for yourselves. The one saving grace is that it came with a map maker and was tied to the Steam Workshop. So, over time, player-made content should creep in and fill that gap. But you really shouldn't have to rely on that. And in addition to the $20 for the game, there was $10 in additional DLC content. 3 packs that were $2.99 each, currently on discount for 20% off. Oh, and a plushie for the main character of the game if all of that wasn't enough. So yeah, the optics looked like a cash grab. But here's the part that I've never ever seen before in any Steam release. Just a few hours after launch, the full price of the game dropped from $19.99 to $9.99. That's right, not a sale. The full price of the game was literally halved just hours after release. And yeah, that immediately made the review score go from mostly negative to overwhelmingly negative. And it's simple to see why. Early buyers felt betrayed. They just paid $20 for the game and now it's $9.99. But don't worry, the developer had a solution. Just ask Steam for a refund. And while yeah, that does work, it still burnt a lot of the original buyers the wrong way. But the absolute flood of bad reviews has started to slow, and the new reviews that are coming in, with the people that bought it at the new $9.99 price, seem to be mostly positive. They still mention the lack of content, but there's hope that the price and gameplay will be worth it in the end. And as of now, the game is sitting at that mixed review score that I mentioned earlier in the video. And I think the big lesson to learn from the whole original price to new price is just to compare what your product is doing to others in the same genre. Lethal Company and Repo being probably the 2 largest in the same space, and they're both $9.99. So to launch a game at double the price with far less actual content, you are shooting yourself in the foot. And honestly, if 2-Star Games bunkers down and creates a few more maps, or better yet, finds a way to implement procedural generation, I think the game can still turn around and be a huge success down the road. But the launch of CUFFBUST has been absolutely fascinating. As I said at the beginning of the video, I've never seen anything like this on Steam. It is the perfect case study for how not to launch a Steam game. And maybe, if things continue improving, it's another case study on how to turn around a bad launch. Either way, it is going down in indie game history for how bad of an initial launch it was, even if I'm still rooting for 2-Star Games to turn it around here. Now, this is a little bit of a different video than I've ever done before, and I don't intend to lean into any kind of game development drama down the road. I just saw this and thought it would be fascinating to talk about and see your comments in the discussions below. So if you liked the video, please consider subscribing and hitting the like button to let YouTube know. But understand that this is not going to be my typical content. I'm more definitely going to be geared towards the actual production of indie games and not necessarily the publishing of indie games, but Again, this was just a really fascinating case.